guys, this is sort of an impromptu video to show you guys a sculpture that I'm working on, and this video is going to be basically geared towards fantasy. I am starting to make my own sculptures for my fantasy games, and you know, I'm practicing. I'm getting better at it as I practice. For Project Deep Wars, and you guys, if you've seen the Martin and Julie talk, which I just put up yesterday, I talked about doing some sculptures for Deep Wars, and this is an undersea game. So here's my armature that I made, and I based it on this guy right here. I just took my wire and literally bend the wire around the guy to get this shape here, right? And that kept my size pretty much consistent with the figure. It's a little bit bigger than this figure, but that's okay. It's not going to look out of place, I think. And the idea is that I will be sculpting a diver for Deep Wars. So I'm going to be doing several armatures, and that'll cover my divers. And then I want to do some creatures. Deep Wars has a lot of undersea creatures. And there's like giant fish and you know, sharks and all kinds of stuff. So that I will work on armatures for those figures very slowly, and I'll show you guys how I do that. But the main thing, what I want to do with this video is I'm going to show you a very basic armature. So first and foremost, let's go with the wires. Okay, so armature wires come in many different sizes. They go by gauges. This one is floral wire, and I use this for making very small armatures and also for reinforcing my larger armatures and creating anchor points for the clay. These come in a pack of 3, and this is the it's Pendle Elite. I get these out at Amazon, so I ordered these online, and you get like 6 bags of these in a pack. It's pretty cool. Here are some that are packaged already, and I'm gonna need more. And so they come in 3 different sizes. This is your thickest size, and for what we're going to be working with, smaller miniatures and such, I would have to go with the thinner wire. Now the problem with this wire is that it's a little too flimsy. I like my armatures nice and strong. So what I do is there is a wire that they sell at Walmart, which I don't have it with me right now. I have to buy more. But it's about this thick, and it's for making like, I don't know if it's for necklaces or things like that. And it's very good wire. It's very strong, very sturdy. So I use that a lot for my dogs. But for today, we're just going to use this one here. This is the medium thickness, okay? And I'm going to use this one and show you guys how I start one of my animals. Now, we're going to pretend that I'm doing a tiger or something, right? That's something that you could definitely use in gaming. So I use my pliers, needle nose pliers, cutters for the wire, and then a skeleton portrait that I usually print out to the scale of the figure. Now, if I'm going this route, and I don't always do this, but if I'm going this route, this is what I will do. And so I'm going to double up my wire, and I just kind of guesstimate it, okay, and just show basically what it is I do. And I'm going to take my pliers, and first I'm going to loop it, just like you see here. I just loop it. I kind of guesstimate it, right? Give it a nice long length. Could always trim later. And let me just give a little bit more of a focus there. So I'm going to put my wire right about to the point of the orbit here in the skull. And first thing I want to do is make a little bend in the wire, okay? Make a little bend, because that's where my skull is going to go. So, okay. And then what I do now, my rib cage starts around here. There's a bone covering it. So I kind of do that by eye. But first things first, I'm going to shape the backbone. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, this is not 100% precise. It's not. It really isn't. In fact, I will handle the armature a little bit as I go. I will kind of correct the shapes and all that. This is just to give me a starting point for the armature, okay? So what I'm doing is tracing my ribs now, okay? And my ribs stop around here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually go a little bit further, right to where the viscera is in this drawing, okay? I do that on purpose. Now, if I wanted to, I can stop here and fill this in with tinfoil. And that kind of takes that space, you know, fills in that space. And the tinfoil will help me conserve clay. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take my wire. It's going to include some of that viscera. And I know that my ribs stop a little bit short from there. That's not really too important. Okay, so notice the shape that I have. I'm going to take what I'm doing now. And I like to do this by hand. I am shaping the pubic bone, okay? And believe me, if I'm working in fantasy, even if I'm doing a dragon or a fantasy creature like a griffin, anything that I'm doing, I could base it on anatomy. Just find a creature that's, you know, similar, and you're just going to add the fantasy features, right? All right, so I have... Now, this is a little bit exaggerated. I want this a little bit tighter there, okay? There you go. I'm going to squeeze my pelvic bone a little bit and angle it there, okay? So that's pretty much what I want. Now, I'm going to cut this off so that I have... Here, I always cut a little bit more than what I need. And then this wire, I'm going to cut a little bit shorter. Okay. Now, if that's the pubic bone, then this is the ischium, I believe. There's the ischium and the ilium. I always confuse those bones. I took a lot of anatomy in the past during my wildlife career. But I always used to confuse those bones, you know. And believe me, there's a lot of terms and bones in any organism, so it's not always easy. All right, so I'm going to fix my little rib cage there because it's a little bit out of shape. So I'm going to just place it there. Okay, and I like that. And now I use my floral wire. And this is an important step, because I'm gonna take the focus out a little bit so that you see it better. And I could start anywhere. Why don't we start here, since this is more important. We're going to unite these pieces here, okay? And this is what I do, and I'm gonna go around my rib cage, okay? And this is a technique I have been doing for a long time, and I've revised it and changed it and you know, done different things with it. I don't always do my sculptures this way. Okay, this is kind of an older technique. I do quite a few different things now, but this is kind of where I started. All right, I'm going to fix my wire a little bit there, and I just want to unite my pieces, get them nice and strong, and just kind of pull my wire through there. Okay, and I don't worry about anything extra down here. That really all disappears with the clay. I can fix that later, but I'm going to need more floral wire, and I really wrap it around the armature. That serves to give me some anchor point for the clay, and it helps to hold the tin foil in, because I use a little bit of tin foil. All right, we're going to fix this in just a minute. And just wrap my stuff around. Okay, notice how it's going all around the ribs there. Okay, and now this is pretty strong. As I can, you start to feel it get stronger. Now I can start shaping this a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna fix this rear bone here. Now normally this bone sticks out. What I do a lot of times is I don't have it sticking out, right? I got to trim this a little bit. The main idea, there we go. All right, the main idea is that I want that piece to form a socket for my legs. And that's the whole idea with this. It imitates that pubis, the pubic bone. And then you just insert your wire there for your legs. And that pretty much is how the legs attach, you know, to the skeleton. So I want to make sure that I leave a hole there when I wrap my wire around. Okay, and I go down to the tail, depending on how thick that tail is going to be. I may not want to go down all the way because then that, you know, that interferes with my clay if there's too much wire sticking out. So you want to be careful about that. Now this is a very quick and dirty armature, but this is the way I do fantasy sculptures. This is the way I do dogs, whatever, dragons, I don't care what it is, dinosaurs. Of course, I modify the armature depending on the creature that I'm doing. You know, I give this a little curve here, right? If it's a cat, like a tiger. And here it is. See, so there we go. Kind of place it there. And now I know that I have a little bit of mass to work with. I'm going to have to add, this is going to be a sculpture that would have very little clay. Okay, so I have to be very careful when I add the tinfoil, not to add too much. And in fact, I can actually work with this sculpture just like this, not add any tinfoil, and just add small clumps of clay to the armature, you know, because cats are streamlined, right? Now, for a tiger has a lot more mass and musculature, so for a tiger, I would add a little bit of tinfoil there. Okay, so for my legs I like to use a slightly thicker wire. And all I do for the front legs are the tricky part. I usually make them long, very long. I exaggerate the length because part of that wire is going to go to my whatever bottle caps I'm using to hold the armature together. So it becomes a handle for sculpting. So for my front legs, I do the right here, the scapula connected with those bones there. That's how I do my legs. So what I do is, again, I double my wire. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of press this forward a little bit. Okay, and put it up against my picture here, and right at that joint, I'm going to bend the wire for my scapular. Then I'm going to do another bend here for the leg. There we go. And then I'm going to make my final bend where the wire is going to go into the cap. So I have this situation. So here's my scapular, and I open this up. Okay. Now, I can change poses very easily. It doesn't have to stay like this, right? I can change my poses as long as I know where my joints are, okay? And that's how that goes attached to the armature. Now, if I feel that for whatever reason, my legs are too long because for whatever reason, the scale is a little off, that's okay. I can modify the wire as I see fit, okay? Now, remembering that there will be girth here, you will be adding clay, so this is actually going to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so there it is. But there is basically the idea, and I would do this for any kind of figure that I'm working with. Okay, so and you know, this is the part of sculpting that's a little tricky, and I will do this for any sculpture that I'm working on. And different creatures are going to need different kinds of armatures. You know, you give different attention to bipedal creatures by the, you know, you make the armature different than you would, say, a quadruped. So I'm just going to fill in some of the gap here with wire. Okay. Now, a lot of this is going to be filled in with clay, so that's important to know. That gives you your, basically your chest, shapes your chest up, the chest of the animal. Okay. So, very quickly, that's about it. And I just continue working on this, and then I mount it on my bottle paint cap, and it's ready to go. And some of these loose wires, I sometimes snip them if they're too loose, and just make sure that everything is tight. Okay, so I'll go with my pliers and just make sure that things are nice and tight for the clay. You don't want anything loose, okay? And this one's a little loose. And then here is the wire armature, an example of a Hydra, and this one's already done. You can see all of the wire that I wrapped around here, and then it's secured to the bottle cap base. And this is actually 2 bottle caps, and these are paint caps rather. And then I do my green stuff there to secure the armature. And then usually I put a little bit of clay here. I didn't do that in this model, but I put a little bit of green stuff just to secure those areas. And then this is ready to sculpture on. I'll add a little bit of tin foil to fill that in a little bit. Little globs of tin foil here and there to fill in the gaps. And then I start working with my clay, right? And this is going to be a Hydra, a really big Hydra, actually. I'm going to try to make a smaller one, but this is kind of what I came up with for a Hydra. So, okay, and here is the tiger, or whatever this is going to be. Maybe a saber-toothed cat, I don't know. All I did is, by using my skeleton diagram, I bent the rear legs, gave them the shape, and I give it a lot more wire, because then what I need to do is go in here and just tighten that wire, secure that wire. Then I'm going to add green stuff to the base of the legs. That secures the armature to the handle here. And then, of course, a little green stuff here, a little green stuff there to secure those joints. And this is ready for clay. I will add a little tin foil to this to fill in some of the gaps. And usually what I do is I maybe work a little bit on the leg shapes. You know, since I've been bending and twisting, sometimes legs get deformed a little bit. So I go back and kind of adjust the shapes. But this is a basic figure. And you can see that it does have a cat-like look to it, right? You can modify this 1,000,001 ways to do whatever animal you want. If it's a reptile, there are ways to do that. If it's a bird, you know, whatever it is. And I was thinking of doing some clay mounts for my figures, but I have some riders, and I believe they were like elf riders or something, and it's just the riders. I don't have anything else for them. I can't remember. I bought them from somebody, and they don't have any mounts. And I was thinking of doing some maybe saber-toothed cats or some other kind of creature, maybe unicorns or something. And then, so I would sculpt the mount and then put the actual figure on the mount. So it wouldn't be a completely my sculpture. It'll be like half my sculpture, right? But still, I think that's a good use of my sculpting skills, you know, to for my gaming. So, so this is a creature. I'm gonna leave this armature. I'm actually gonna finish this and secure it and leave it for some kind of creature. I don't know if it'll be a gaming figure. This is a little bit big. I would want to go a little bit. I would want to go smaller if I were gonna do a gaming creature. So, all right. So there it is. There is armature. Step one in any sculpture that I do. Thank you, folks. Please let me know in the comments if you like these kinds of videos, if you want to know more about the tools that I use, more about the clays, whatever it is. Let me know so that I know, you know, if these videos are going to be, you know, I guess I'll know if people like them or not, but it'll be good to know if this helps anybody. So I'm going to fix this up a little bit, and then it'll go in my queue, and I'll use it in a sculpture sometime in the future.